So you can see it's another lovely, lovely day in St. Louis, Missouri, and it's starting to snow a little bit, and you got the whatever out there, and so... Hello. I don't want to go outside. I've got to go outside. That's the only way to do the radio show. I can't do it from the car today because all the equipment is inside. So I'm miserable, and I thought this would be a nice way to procrastinate before I actually go outside. Plus, I can just sit here at the heat and chat with you. Wouldn't you prefer to chat with me? Maybe. Hola. Hello. Hi. 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 I'm just repeating or responding to the people who are saying hello. Hola. It's a second hola. Boy, the Hispanic community really growing here. Hola. What's going on? There's a lot of hola today. Are you with Leah today? I'm with Leah all this week, except she's not in the car. She's in the inside, so I have to go inside. Somebody asks, how's my hair today? Yeah, I only really pay attention to my hair when I'm on the Periscope, and I gotta say, I'm not a fan. It does not look good, but I can't win with this hair. Let's see. Somebody says it's cold in Wisconsin. It's cold in Missouri. It's cold everywhere. Somebody says get a wig. Thank you. Somebody says, hey, from Alabama. Sure, why not? Why wouldn't you be in Alabama? Somebody says, greetings from Zambia. Look at Morocco. I bet you guys are warmer than I am right now. Somebody says, at least you have hair. Yeah, but that never really does us any good. I mean, can you imagine what I would look like if I didn't have hair, just a giant nose? Somebody says, where are you in St. Louis? Wish you were doing a live audience. I'm sorry we didn't line up a live audience. Live audiences take a lot of work and a lot of energy. I'm not interested in either of those things. Somebody says, how was your bachelor date with Jill? Last night, Jill and I watched The Bachelor. Another great episode. And the last half hour is great. You have to sit there for the first hour and a half. The Bachelor season's real slow. And we think we're leaning towards who the winners might be already, right? Lauren B, am I right? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. She's leaning towards Lauren B. We've all got our theories, however, of who it might be. Somebody says, I don't watch it, I just know you do. Yeah, I do. Somebody says, Morocco. Hello, Morocco. Hola. I've been to your fine country twice. Somebody says, Ben's a bore. Ben is a bit of a bore, but he's a nice guy. At least that's what Jill keeps telling me. But he's such a nice guy. He's such a nice guy. I'm like, okay, he's a nice guy. We like Ben. It's just that we're not, I don't know. This season is very slow. The last half hour is interesting. I can just tell her who's, okay, that one's going to get a rose, that one's going to get a rose, that one's going to get a rose. Brazil and Italy. Hello. Somebody say Rob around at the bar. Rob would not be here. Rob is in New York. He was just texting me my schedule for when I come back from the Holy Land, doing a pilgrimage in 2 weeks in the Holy Land, so that he can line up when we'll hang out in New York. That's about it. Somebody says, is that a panoramic sunroof? Panoramic? Do you mean just a sunroof, right? Yeah, it's a sunroof. I don't know about panoramic, just up above. Michigan, Ukraine. People are just saying where they're from. Hello, how are you? Hello, people, and where you're from. I'm from Minnesota, but I live in New York. And now I'm in St. Louis. It's a radio show, so we do a bit of traveling. Somebody says connection problems. Really? Sorry. Somebody asks, have I been on a Curcio or to a Curcio? I have not. Somebody says, what's on today's show? And then somebody also asks, I emailed about bringing back pet peeves at Mass. So I think we're going to do that on today's show. Things that drive you crazy at Mass. I'll tell you a little inside baseball, a little radio thing, all right? A lot of times I don't do much with the calls. I don't do a lot of phone calls because I feel like if you take too many calls, you're basically admitting you didn't prep the show. That's my theory. Is the more calls I take, the less prep I did on the show. Except for games. Games are a different story. So, I got a bunch of stuff I want to talk about on today's show. Plus, sometimes people are a little bit, sometimes Catholics are a little not so fun. So if you do this funny thing like, hey, what drives you crazy at Mass? There are funny things people can do. And then there are people calling in and they're like, I don't like when you're like, oh, God forbid, this is boring. So we have to have good call screening in place. There's a lot complaining. So that's one of the things we might do today. We're going to do a segment, Hot, Rich, or Pious, based on the first reading of today. I got to play you this Drake song that I've been singing a lot lately, and Jimmy Fallon did a take on it, that sort of thing. Somebody says you should just pray the rosary, because that's always a hit. Wouldn't that be great radio? Somebody says, did you see Colbert last night? I don't really watch much Colbert, so I did not see it last night. Somebody says, rush the callers along and yell at them like Howard. I would like to do what Howard does. It was just like, yes, quickly, go ahead. I used to be a lot meaner to people who used to call to the show, and I realized that's not really a nice thing to do. Somebody asks, what bit would I do on the show if the bosses wouldn't fire me? I believe that's what you wrote. I couldn't see it word for word. The bit I would do on the show if I knew I wasn't going to get fired was probably the funniest bit we've ever done. My old co-host, Rob, right when I was doing a lot of publicity for my book. So I'd be on TV shows or I'd be on radio shows, and I would play clips of my appearances. And so the bit was, he called into other Catholic radio shows, and he didn't prank them, but he just wanted to see how long he could stay on their phones for, and then came onto the show and was like, hey, here's a bunch of appearances I did on other radio shows today. And it was hilarious because he wasn't a guest on the shows he was calling in, but he was calling in, and you know, there's just so many bad radio shows in this world, and these people are too, I don't know, they're not on top of their game. If you want to hear that bit, look at the podcast. It'd probably be 3 years ago or so. And it was one of the funniest things we ever did. In fact, our bosses have said it was the funniest thing we ever did, and if we ever did it again, we'd be fired. But we didn't prank phone call radio shows. We didn't call and ruin the people's show. Rob was calling, and you know, they would let Rob talk for 3 and 4 minutes at a time of just nonsense. It was a riot. It's probably the funniest thing we've ever done. That's what I would do again, and I'd be fired. And so, and you know what? We weren't even being mean. If you want to hear us be mean, I'll say this. I'm on the Periscope, so I can say this because I'm not on the air right now. We would, on occasion, we've just prank called radio shows for our own amusement just to ruin people's show. So that's why I don't like taking a lot of calls, is because I understand how people can prank radio shows, and I don't want to do that. Somebody asks how the podcast coming along with, you know, Rob and I talked about doing a podcast. I have to get permission from my bosses on that as well. Somebody says Father Jim and Leah are my favorites. Everybody loves Father Jim Churn. Everybody loves Leah Darrow. And so I agree. So Leah's inside waiting for me right now to begin doing radio. I got to go on the air in about a half hour or so, huh? Somebody says, call me today. I'm with an atheist. I don't know. What does that mean? Just, hello. Hello, I'm going to call you today. I hear you were with an atheist. Somebody says 2 solid co-hosts. Yeah, I agree. They are. We got a lot of great co-hosts. That, and we got Mark Hart. We've had great streaks of great co-hosts. Somebody says that time you called Greg and woke him up during the late night lock-in. Yes, that was very. Our old friend Greg Willits. I did a show one night in the middle of the night, like from midnight to 3 a.m. And he's like, "Why don't you call into the show?" He made a joke. Call him up. So I called him up and woke him up. And it didn't. He laughed, but he couldn't believe I woke him up. Somebody says, you're really good with the soundboard effects. Thank you very much. I'm a one-man band. I host, I produce, I do the sound effects. I'm my own engineer. I have no choice. Somebody says, talk about Trump. He wants to make America great again. I want to make Catholicism great again. We have so much in common. I tell you, this Trump, I think more and more, he's going to be your nominee. I can't believe it. He's going to be the nominee. It's going to be Clinton, Trump. It's amazing. Amazing. What a wonderful country. Somebody says, are you wearing pants? I am wearing pants. It's freezing outside. All right, now, before I go inside, because Leah's texting me, she's like, come on in. I want to show you how cold it is. I was thinking about this earlier today. I don't know if I'm the only one that makes the cold face when you're cold, but check this out. All right, so watch my face. Does everybody do this if you get in the cold? That's my face. It's unpleasant, and I put my shoulders up and going back inside here for a minute. I gotta grab my backpack, and then time to do some radio, kids. It is gonna be it's just miserable out. It's just miserable out. Make Catholicism great again. That's my goal. That's what I'm doing on today's show, making Catholicism great again. So we've got the Drake, Jimmy Fallon bit. I might play a little of this James Corden and Adele karaoke thing. I got this great thing from Jeopardy of everybody losing, which I thought was very funny, and the segment Hot, Rich, or Pious. That's a lot of show. Don't kid yourself. That's a tremendous amount of show. Someone says, why don't I wear a hat? Well, you would think I would say because it ruins my hair, and then you would go, but your hair looks horrible. I know it does. Somebody says, keep up the great work, Lino. Thank you very much. There's a sentence I've never heard from one of my bosses. Keep up the great work, Lino. Somebody says, where's your scarf? What is this, my mom? I don't wear a scarf. Here's what gets cold. The giant nose, the little ears, the phalanges, my hands. My neck never gets cold. It's because there's too much fat there. I'm all fat. I got to lose weight before the wedding. 95 days before the wedding. Somebody says, we love you, Lino. Thank you very much. All right, kids, I better head inside. So, big show today. Big show. Leah Darrow's my co-host. We're going to have a lot of fun. We might do the things that drive you crazy at Mass, and we'll see if they're funny. All right, so...